Hey, welcome back to another episode of the RoTKast, podcast where we talk about anything and everything Star Wars. I'm your host, Aaron Richland, and with me is my celebration partner in crime, Sean Ritter. What's up, buddy?
What's up, dude? Day 2 celebration.
Day 2, today we will be talking to you about our second day at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago, and what a day. Today it felt a lot longer than yesterday.
Right. And not today in the literal sense, because by the time you listen to this, it won't be today anymore.
I think podcast listeners might understand that this was recorded in the past.
This was Saturday for us, because we didn't go to all the days of the
that's a good point.
Convention, right? So this was Saturday. First thing we did was immediately get in line for the exhibitor hall, which you got there earlier than I did.
I got there super early. So
slacking.
A little bit. But so yesterday, one thing that we didn't talk about in the last episode is that amongst the exhibitors was, I believe it was DK Publishing, and they had a copy of Master and Apprentice, which does not come on sale until April 16th. Today is the 13th. Yesterday was the 12th. Everybody knows math.
Yeah.
So, it comes out in the future. And I asked them, I said, can I buy a copy of this? And it's a different cover than what was there before.
It was supposedly a Celebration exclusive cover art for the book.
Exactly. So we had to...
And real quick, Master and Apprentice is the novel about Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan, and how they kind of... the beginning to
Pre-episode 1.
Right, pre-episode 1, yes.
And I believe it's written by Claudia Gray. I could be wrong.
I think you're right.
So I asked if I could buy it. They said that it's something where you had to get a wristband to get, and you would get that in the morning and come back and get it later, because they only had an X amount of wristbands.
Right, and X amount of books to give away.
Right? An X amount of books, exactly. So I asked about how to do that, and we had to get it there kind of first thing in the morning. So I got up this morning super early. I mean, not super early, like 6:30. And
pretty early, man.
You slept a little bit longer. I showered and then I left. So I got to the convention about 7:30.
Right, and
Did you get there?
I didn't get there until closer to 9:30.
9:30.
It was like between 9:30 and 9:45, and you were basically right at the front of the line.
I was pretty much.
There was
a lot of people. Like I have a picture that I took.
Pretty much.
Correct. Relative to the rest of the...
One of the entrances,
yes.
There's a couple of
So relative to what you saw, I was in the front 0.1% of the line, because that line apparently was
This
huge.
line was unreal. I walked in the building. They were directing us upstairs immediately to the second level. Didn't have a choice. And I get up there, and it's like packed almost wall to wall with people.
Definitely,
and it's like
thousands of people in this line.
Sectioned off, yeah. And I walk up, and they're like behind like yellow tape, and I walk up to these people. I'm like, "Oh, what are you guys waiting in line for?" I'm like, "Oh, we're waiting in line to get into the exhibitor hall." And I'm like, "You've got to be fucking kidding me! Are you shitting me?" Because the exhibitor hall didn't open up until 10. It doesn't open until 10, but you can get into the building at I think 8. Or no, you could. You got in at 7:30.
Real quick, you're right. It opened at 10. I thought it opened at 9. So I'm like 7:30. I only have to wait an hour and a half. Not that big of a deal. We'll have a buffer between the time it opens to the time that we had to go to our first panel. Nope. It opens at 10.
Wrong.
So I waited an extra hour, had a lot less time, so I was stressing out.
But you're probably lucky that you thought it was at 9.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you probably would have gotten there later, and
later.
you would have gotten... So we'll building up to that. But so I walk in, this line wrapped around the entire building. It was ridiculous. And at one point, they were ushering people into another room so that they could form another queue to wrap people around, because it was getting so ridiculous. And they're like, "Are you going to the exhibitor hall?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And they're like, "Okay, go in there." And I walk in there and I realize what they're doing. I'm like, "Yeah, fuck this. I'm not doing that." So I walk out and she's like, aren't you going to the exhibitor? I'm like, no, I'm trying to get to something else. And they're like, "Okay, we'll go this way." So I just
asked for specifics. Like, what would you have said? Like,
no, I'm going to. Well, actually,
I told you to say a store, right?
Well, actually, it wasn't. It was some girl in front of me said something, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm with her." And so I just bypassed the entire line, found you, and then jumped right in. So thanks for that, because I only really had to wait for like 30 minutes.
Hours extra sleep, which is great. You need it because you're driving tomorrow. So
Yeah,
I'll be sleeping in the car. No, I won't be because we're gonna be watching something else.
No, you won't be.
So the reason I did that is because I want to get the
book,
the bracelet for the
bracelet
book.
to get the book. Yeah.
So man, and we're literally in the middle of the main entrance, right? Like there's this big thing that says exhibitor hall, and we're right dead smack in the middle of that. For some reason, that's not the beginning of the line, and I was told that the front of the line was actually relatively further up. Right. Mm-hmm. And I have a picture that shows how many people were up there. I was like, oh man, this sucks. There's a lot of people up there. I'm not going to get this ticket. And they were saying that they were going to let them go in first and then kind of weave their way back. So it might be a couple minutes until we were able to get in. Yeah. It was 9:51 by the time people started bum rushing in. Like
bum rushing, like literally everybody. We just like
I wish I was recording this.
We flipped up the yellow tape.
It was like
and
Black
everyone
Friday.
Started just sprinting to stuff,
There was
including
definitely somebody filming us,
including you. I did not. I was like, I don't.
I had to, dude.
Walk.
I knew I had.
Oh no,
to.
I know you, but you went kind of the wrong
remember,
way.
And I asked you like 3 times. It's like
I told you exactly
like
where it was.
I know,
too.
I know, and I went that round, but we were wrong. It was actually the next level deep, right?
No. It was the level I told you. You just
dude.
didn't understand maybe what I was telling you because I knew exactly where to go.
Either way, but even that was the wrong route to go, right? So like I went way further than I should. I went out and around essentially instead of the most optimal route. And you
didn't know the line was gonna cut back towards the other.
So by the time I got there was probably 100 people already in line,
maybe
because they opened up the other side. Where people hadn't been.
The other side of the exhibitor hall.
The other side of the exhibitor hall, where other people were not lining up since 6 a.m, you know?
Yeah.
So I was there since 7:30 in the morning, and these other people who weren't waiting that long, I mean, maybe it was like 8:30, whatever, but they weren't waiting as long. And I was legitimately pissed, thinking that I was not going to get this fucking bracelet because I knew that they only had a limited amount. And so by the time you got back, you saw how long the line was. And how far back I was. And I was very mad. Luckily, DK Publishing has their shit together, and they really moved that line like quickly.
That line flew, man.
They did it by like chunks. They're like, you go there, you go there, you go to this person, and like it was in like chunks of like 6 people at a time. And we flew through. I got the bracelet. Later on in the day, I got the book. So I have a special edition version of Master and Apprentice. I can't wait to fucking start reading that. And we will definitely have a Holocron data dump,
about that.
At least 3 days earlier than we would have, because I have the book 3 days earlier than I would have had. So it's going to be fun.
And so you ran off to get the book, to stand in line for the book. I went somewhere else. Actually, before we get to that, what else did you get with your book purchase?
Oh, yeah, that was a surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one. But
so first of all, there was like pins, like little collectible pins everywhere. Yes. Like that was a big thing, right? And people were trading pins,
and we kind of forgot. Not really forgot. It was just kind of in the back of our mind to hand out our RoTKast pins.
Yeah.
Which, sorry, Jeremy, they were still amazingly dope.
They're still
amazing. Wait to give them out.
But these pins were they were like metal. They were like collectible pins, and they were everywhere. People were trading them and all kinds of stuff, right?
Yes.
So aside from you buying,
we
get
a bag. The bag has Yoda on it, which is kind of cool. I'll still probably throw it away. But inside of the bag was the book, and it's a special edition cover. And you know, I open that up, and we're looking at it, and I look back into the bag, and there's something else, and it's this very cool pin of Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. So Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon are both silver, like fully silver, and they're holding their lightsabers, and their lightsabers are their respective colors, green for Qui-Gon and blue for Obi-Wan, and it was
super cool pin, man.
It was awesome, and my favorite pin that I've seen, and
that you got at the celebration. I'm super jealous that you got that. It was really cool. So while you were running off to get into that line, I went to go try to get a fast pass for us later to come back and do something called Vader Immortal, which is a VR series about Darth Vader. Don't really know that much about it. It's essentially a cross between a game and an actual storyline that you get to interact with, that you experience in VR. And they had booths where you could go in and demo this thing. We didn't end up getting to do it. Line was a little long, but
well, I mean, and it kind of makes sense. The line was apparently very long because you go in and I mean, they're not just going to let you do that for like 2 minutes and leave. They want
each person's in there for an extended period of time. They're in there for a
little bit of time. So I believe this is. I could be wrong. This may not be even remotely related, but I think it's similar to the VR experience that they have at Downtown Disney, I think, in Orlando. I thought they were related. They may not be, but I did see something where apparently they have some well-known actors and actresses in this that do voice work and stuff for Vader and
pretty cool.
The only one I actually remember was Maya Rudolph from SNL. She's like really funny.
I don't really watch SNL.
Oh, she's pretty funny, and I just thought that was kind of odd and strange, but kind of awesome because she's funny. So,
I hope I don't cut our fan base down by saying I don't really watch SNL.
Dude, nobody fucking watches SNL anymore. What are you talking about? I watch like 2 clips every other week.
That's fair. So we didn't actually end up getting to do the little VR thing, which I'm
bummed about.
Yeah, it's disappointing, but there was so much stuff to do, man. There's only so many lines you can wait in, and we were only there for 2 days. And
the other name that they were going to give Celebration is just Star Wars Lines.
LineCon. Yeah, Star Wars Lines. But we did get some cool posters.
Yes.
Of Vader Immortal.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Sweet.
Luckily. I mean, we just walked by and we were like, hey, can we get one of those? And they're like, yeah.
So that was that. And then I think we also waited in line to get a couple of
unique t-shirts.
Exclusive t-shirts.
Which one was the one you got?
I got one. It says Star Wars, and it's got Boba Fett on it, and it's got Celebration 2019 Chicago on the sleeve, and it's like all black and
it was very cool.
Red.
I couldn't decide between that one or the one. Well, I could decide because I did decide.
Because you did.
But it was hard for me to decide between that one and the one I did end up getting, which was a dark side kind of variant of that, where it was
there's a bunch of different villains, like, instead of just
Grievous, Vader, Dooku, Kylo, canon movie villains, right. Nobody else, but
they were like Celebration exclusive because they called out like on the shirt that it's like Celebration 2019,
and they're pretty good quality
cool.
too.
Yeah, they're nice. I'm happy that we got a hold of some of those.
And we were nervous of whether or not we could do that, right? Because we had a very limited time.
We were running out of time.
Again, it opened at 10, and I did that. The book thing, you did the Vader Immortal, then we waited in line, and that line took a little bit longer than I was hoping it would.
To get the shirts?
Because I thought it was gonna eat into our time for what we had planned at 11 o'clock.
Which was the big panel of Saturday, which was Galaxy's Edge.
Again, I'm surprised that was the big panel on Saturday, but
I thought it would be something else. We'll get to that, but it was a great panel, and they talked about a lot of cool stuff, and I don't know about you, but I got choked up a couple of times because just imagining like everything that they're doing, the amount of immense detail they're going into with this park is absolutely insane. And honestly, we don't have this planned, but we could probably do a whole entire episode about like what we heard about. Some of the things that stood out to me, we've already talked about this a little bit, but there's going to be 2 major experiences. Smuggler's Run, where you get to pilot the Falcon. Something super cool about that I didn't know is, one, they have created a extremely lifelike animatronic of Hondo Anaka, and this is like the time period where Hondo actually owns the Millennium Falcon, and he has recruited you to go on smuggling runs for him.
Hence the name.
Smuggler's Run. And they even got Jim Cummings, the original voice of Hondo Naka and the original voice of a million different things in the world of animation. They got him to do all of the voice work, so it literally they were showing videos of it
from Clone
Wars, and then Rebels. The video they showed of it, I really couldn't tell for a minute whether it was someone in a costume or whether it was an animatronic.
The animatronic.
It's just amazing
that they came up with for this are insane.
Insane.
Like there was some movement in the mouth, but like everything else was
so fluid. The way they moved their arms and fingers, it wasn't like a robotic movement. Like it's they're absolutely incredible.
The Imagineers at Disney they have their shit together and they know what they're doing. And they are clearly taking what they've done in the past, which has been great, and just blowing expectations out of the water.
And it sounds like we we are not ready for what's about to happen with Galaxy's Edge. We know it's going to be amazing. We keep hearing it's going to be great. It's going to be great. But I think once we actually get there, we're not going to be able to handle it. And we know that from because of the host of the panel, which was a surprise, was Josh Gad, which was kind of cool.
Yeah. So they actually started the panel with a video with Josh Gad. Not being able to get into Galaxy's Edge, and it was a pretty funny, humorous skit. And
between him and Scott,
it's a challenging last name.
Oh my gosh,
I can't remember.
I can't remember his name
anyway,
either. But he's essentially the head honcho behind this whole entire park experience.
Yeah, and so they were in it, and he wasn't able to get in. Josh Gad wasn't able to get into the park, and I honestly just thought that was a cool thing,
right.
Just having him there.
It's like a funny little video skit, right?
And it turns out that he then came on stage as the guest surprise host of the panel, and that was awesome.
Which is super cool. And he kept saying, and those of you who know who Josh Gad is, he's a super huge Star Wars fan, and he was clearly just excited about this as all the rest of us were. So anyway, back to Smuggler's Run. So you got Hondo Anaka, and then another thing that I thought was super cool is that so you go in, we know that you're going to be able to pilot, you're going to do all these different things, you're going to go on these missions, and you can mess the ship up. You can damage it if you steer into an asteroid on accident. If you get hit by blaster bullets and you're not able to evade them, the ship's going to get damaged, and literally damaged in the literal sense. They were telling us that when you leave the cockpit, and if you've not had a good run and you've damaged the ship, when you walk out into the hallways, and it's not just going to be the cockpit, it's the full entire Millennium Falcon.
No. So I think
that's something different.
That is something different. So
however, but when you walk out, they were saying there was still the
hallway.
Walk through the
I
hallways.
imagine it's the hallway going into the thing that moves.
Okay,
does all the stuff.
That makes sense.
And then.
But either way,
a separate experience.
Walking out into the hallway, if you have a good run, the hallway will be nice and clean and it'll be functioning. But if you run into a bunch of asteroids and you fuck the ship up, there will be lights that will be broken, panels that will have been popped out, sparks that are going to be flying and stuff. I'm like, this is insane. And Hondo will Hondo react differently depending on your mission that you've done.
It just means that you have to do it. You have to strategically go through Smuggler's Run and do different things every time you do it, because you're going to get a different outcome.
And there's so many different roles to play too. There's 6 different people in the cockpit: pilot, co-pilot, 2 engineers, 2 gunners. The experience is different every time, right? So it's going to be something you're going to do multiple times. Aside from that, they do have a full-sized Millennium Falcon. You can walk.
We forgot about the big
through
announcement,
the entire thing.
About how the fact that, it's kind of, do you really want to go on Smuggler's Run? Because if you destroy the ship, they actually blow you up and you die. So that was a surprise, but it's something that I think really really shows the gravity of the situation.
Yeah.
I didn't announce that, obviously.
So they did build an actual Millennium Falcon, full size, and you can walk through every corridor, everything. It's exactly like you would imagine the Millennium Falcon was from all the movies.
Yeah, because they showed on stage
like a little girl, man.
So they showed on stage the different types of Millennium Falcons that have been built, because they build different sets for different purposes, right? And they don't really ever build. I don't want to say ever, but they don't generally build a full.
Actually,
Millennium Falcon,
I think that they said the first time they ever built a full one was for one of these newer movies.
I believe it was The Force Awakens.
It might have been The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi. One of those two was the first time they ever actually built a full one.
Yeah. So and that makes sense, because you don't need the full thing.
No. You just need parts of it.
Yeah. And so the fact that they, built a full thing for us to walk through and to literally see every aspect of everything in the Millennium Falcon.
I'm gonna cry like a little girl, man.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a super emotional experience. So there's that. A couple. I don't want to we could talk forever about how great this park is going to be, but a couple of other things that they kept. One of the things that they talked about the most is detail and authenticity, and how much detail they're putting into this thing, to every little tiny thing that's hanging on the wall of a cantina that you see. Why they wanted everything to be authentic, down to the most minute details that most people wouldn't even notice. That to me is super important. It's very exciting.
They illustrated that a little bit in the fact that like 9 Nub, for example, right?
I was getting to that. Yeah.
So they discussed who the voice actor was of 9 Nub in Return of the Jedi. It was a student in San Francisco that I can't remember.
He was from Kenya.
He was from Kenya. After he graduated, he went back to Kenya, and he's been there living his life.
Who knows?
Just doing. I don't know what he's been doing since then. And they actually tracked him down. Probably looked him up on Facebook or something. And they actually flew out to Kenya with a recording studio and recorded the lines there with him, just because they wanted you.
That's how far they're going.
That's the level of detail they're going to make sure that it's as authentic as it is in the movies, so that's what you're experiencing when you're there, so that you feel like you're actually in Star Wars. And to me, it's something minor, but it's something that shows me their commitment and what they're doing.
And it's minor, but because they put so much effort into something so minor, means that this is going to be the most amazing experience Star Wars fans will ever encounter in their entire lives.
Star Wars, it'll be like the most immersive experience in another,
not even Star Wars fans, but it's
in a fandom that we've seen. Like Harry Potter world is dope and it's awesome. There's I don't want to take anything away from that, because what they did is great. But I think this is going to blow that out of the water.
I think it's going to pale in comparison to what we're gonna experience during this. So a couple other things I want to mention before we move on to the next topic. So they've got a bunch of different music that's going to be playing throughout the park at different places during different times that makes sense for various reasons that they put a lot of work into, including bringing back John Williams to create original pieces of music specifically for the park experience.
Yeah, and that's awesome, because I thought episode 9 was going to be the last bit of music
thing that John Williams did for Star Wars.
This comes out first, I guess. But
oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? But either way, I thought the last bit of Star Wars music we would get from John Williams was episode 9. And that's not true. We're getting, I don't know how much we're getting, but we're getting more. And I'm very excited about that, because Star Wars without John Williams, it's going to be bleak.
Super, super excited. Then again, one other thing I really want to bring up, because I thought this was super cool. So the other part of the park is an experience called Rise of the Resistance. It's completely immersive experience. You walk out. I guess we found out today, Saturday, that it's outside of the Black Spire outposts, and there's like a resistance camp, and you're walking around the resistance camp. You have the opportunity to get captured by the First Order, so on and so forth, and even depending on what you do in the events that unfold, you could run into a certain familiar small green Jedi, who they brought back Frank Oz to do the voice of. Again, just one of those things that they're really going after it on this experience. This is going to be unbelievable. We saw a little trailer,
teaser trailer of what to expect coming up,
and it looked like a Star Wars movie, but there was no visual effects, there was no nothing. It was literally filmed on these sets and in this park.
It was insane. And they showed what I think we talked about this a little bit in our Galaxy's Edge podcast that we had talking about this stuff, where the panels, like the windows, look like you're out in space.
Yes.
And they showed the Resistance fleet flying in, coming out of hyperspace, and it looked like you're literally looking out a panel into space. And it was amazing, and apparently that was legitimately just filmed in the set that will be the immersive experience that we're talking about with Rise of the Resistance.
The video we saw didn't have any After Effects put into it. I mean, I'm sure there was some editing. Well, at least is what they said. It was literally all 100% what you were going to experience, and I cannot fucking wait.
I can't wait either. So before we move on, Frank Oz is coming back as Yoda. When asked about whether or not like some of the other main characters are involved, the director Scott something like nodded his head essentially, and then he ended up saying something along the lines of that all your fan favorites will be there. So I think we can at least expect
Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't. They're not going to be there.
They
may be something like Pirates of the Caribbean, like Jack Sparrow, or they may be like videos like actually done by the actors. I want to see. I would love to see Adam Driver and Daisy Ridley and John Boyega and Oscar Isaac because we know at least Oscar Isaac's there, right? Because we saw in one of the trailers there was Oscar Isaac's X-wing ship.
You mean Poe Dameron?
Damn it! I keep saying Oscar Isaac. Yes, Poe Dameron. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. It's fine. He's the same thing. It's fine. So I'm super excited. I think this is gonna be one of the best. Like Celebration was awesome, right? That's like at a level. But going to Star Wars World, Galaxy's Edge for the first time is going to be the one. It's going to be definitely one of the best things.
Overwhelming. I'm gonna ball. So that was the first panel we went to. Second panel, same arena, Wintrust. We stuck around, and this was the panel for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, new video game coming up later this fall, which we now know is going to be released November 15th.
3 days after Mandalorian. Why would they do that to us? They know we're going to be binging The Mandalorian. How can we possibly take time away from our busy schedules? We're going to be done with Mandalorian.
And when does Clone Wars come out?
Oh, that's a good question.
Isn't that around the same time?
We'll probably find more about that out tomorrow for
yeah.
day 3 after the. So as of this recording, we don't know much else about the Clone Wars final season or the Mandalorian.
Yeah,
just the release date of the Mandalorian.
So we got to learn a little bit more about the game. We got to hear from some of the people at Respawn who are really creating
cool
the game.
To. Like
super cool to listen to.
One of the things that really stuck out to me in this panel, well, I guess I'm kind of jumping ahead a bit. So first, we saw a lot from them, and they jumped immediately into a trailer. Not immediately. It was after 10-15 minutes. It wasn't the end like the other panels.
Right. Episode 9. We didn't get the trailer until that was the last thing that we got.
And the big juicy stuff of like the Rise of Resistance stuff. Galaxy's Edge was at the end, right?
They were on stage for maybe 10 minutes, if not less than that. And they immediately were like, everybody wants to see this trailer. Let's show it and then let's talk about it. So we got to see the first trailer for Fallen Order. It was not a gameplay trailer.
My first reaction, I mean, like overall, I was just like, is that Ian from Shameless? I don't know. I think it is.
Ian, Joker
from Gotham.
Yeah. Christopher,
I don't remember
whatever his last name is playing the lead character in Fallen Order. Cal.
Yep.
Who is a Padawan who survived Order 66. We got to see a trailer. It showed us some really cool stuff. It wasn't a gameplay trailer.
It was all rendered in engine.
Disappointing.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but in the expectations portion of our Celebration precursor episode, I did say I wanted to see a gameplay footage. Like none of this bullshit, and they showed us this bullshit, and I'm pissed.
They did.
But the fact that and one of the biggest things for me is that they said it was story driven. They said multiple times no microtransactions, that it's a single player story, that it's no multiplayer. Like they know, like, and the way they said it too, it wasn't like, yeah, it's single player. It's like there's no no in-app transactions. It's story driven, and everyone's like cheering. So like they know
said
what
it in a way that
want.
They know exactly. They know what we want. They know what they're doing. They're clearly passionate about this project.
That is what I was getting at earlier when I was talking about that. So after the trailer, the head of Respawn, like I again, I don't remember the
I don't remember his name either. I remember the guy. I remember Stig.
Stig, yeah,
but he was not the head
name.
of Respawn.
No,
they brought him
he's
on
the director
to
of the
Respawn.
game.
Yeah,
yeah. So
and he's
the
done
head
things
of Respawn,
in the past, like God of War 3
which
was
is
the one
crazy.
thing that they said. But
so after like they've seen this trailer multiple times. They've been making it. They created the art for it. They go through. I mean, you're in, the industry of creating products, right? So you know how much you see of things before people see it, right?
you see it thousands and thousands and thousands.
And
of
as the
times.
head of the company, he's seen
it probably more than
one of the
that.
biggest games he's done. Like Apex Legends is a great big game, but that's like all in house. There's a lot of expectation around this. There's a lot of responsibility, right?
Yes.
So either way, he saw this a million times.
Not even just him. Some of the other people who are up there too.
And after, like I think he was legitimately crying on stage because of how the reaction that everybody in the audience gave, and just seeing it on stage, like being a fan of the world of Star Wars, and seeing what you are in charge of creating, and given the weight and the responsibility and the expectations, and to have that warm response that he got from that. I mean, why wouldn't you cry? I almost cried because he was crying.
He was clearly overwhelmed, which just means that they're putting everything into this game, and I'm very excited about it. I'm very excited about what I saw, about what they had to say about the game.
Which one of the things about the game is that they are introducing new stormtroopers, new line of troopers,
new stormtroopers,
which are to me the best named, because we've had fire troopers, sand troopers,
snow troopers, flame troopers, shadow troopers.
I always like the death troopers; those were cool.
Death troopers were a cool addition. Scarif troopers.
These new troopers are called purge troopers, which makes complete and total sense
because they're specifically trained to fight Jedi. So the whole idea was that when they were going through this, they thought that, okay, putting a Jedi up against a couple of stormtroopers isn't difficult enough, unless there's like 13 or 14 of them,
and they found that out through the game by
with
building something, because they built stormtroopers first,
right?
In terms of enemy AI, and they found that it was just too easy.
It was too easy. It wasn't presenting enough of a challenge.
Can we talk for a second about that? Like, does that mean that there are going to be some enemies, at least, that's going to be as easy to kill as if it were enemies in Star Wars, the
Jedi Academy? That's what I assumed. Like, you basically, like, they're one hit and done.
Because we know there's going to be lightsaber based. It's a lot of lightsaber action. It's third person.
You're a force user. You have a lightsaber. You've got force powers. You are a Jedi.
Yes.
And I mean, I guess you're not technically a true Jedi because you never made it to that rank. You're a force user, and a decently powerful one at that. So it sounds like you're going to have a whole sort of realm of villains or bad guys to fight, and some of them are going to be extremely easy. Other ones, like these purge troopers, are not. So the idea being that purge troopers are kind of like the first line, right? They're highly trained. Yeah. They're trained to fight Jedi. Not only are they trained to fight Jedi, but they look forward to getting a chance to fight a Jedi, and they're kind of
really
like the
cool
first
too. Because the way that they talked about that was, and it makes sense, and that was the thing that I never thought about, or that I always wondered about. Like, Jedi, everybody knows about Jedi. Like, Anakin, a slave person on Tatooine, like, are you a Jedi? Like, he knows what a Jedi is, right?
Yeah.
Then, like, they're now later, after the Republic falls, are thought of as traitors and blah, blah, blah. But, like, it's not like Jedi just went away, right? There's rumors of Jedi. Someone's like, oh my God, that's a fucking Jedi. Like, there's a traitor. So when those rumors arise, they don't just send Darth Vader, right? They don't just send the Grand Inquisitor.
Right.
They're going to send.
They're not going to send.
What we know now is they send these purge troopers first to investigate, to find out, is this person, are these rumors true?
Right. Is this actually a Jedi? Is this worth the time to bring somebody a little more powerful in to deal with it, or is it not?
Right? And I thought that was great addition to the story.
It makes total sense, right? So, troopers go in, and if it is deemed something that, okay, we need somebody for this, then they bring other people in, which we got a glimpse at one of the larger enemies, it seems like, and probably one of the main villains in the game, which is an Inquisitor.
Yes.
Who the second sister.
The second sister, that's what it was, yes.
Apparently
this person was teased, and not in Clone War or Rebels, but in
a
comic.
comic. Yeah, there's a comic book there. She's actually already exists, and they took references from that to create this character and bring her to life in this game. So essentially, the idea is the Purge Troopers come in, they see you, and then they like, hey, Inquisitor, get down here and deal with this shit. It starts off where you're like in hiding. You're trying to suppress your powers. You're trying to stay under the radar. Things happen, and you eventually have to kind of enter in this ever-going fight between Jedi and the.
It looks like
Empire.
He's been someone who's been in hiding and not showing his force
for some time.
Somebody that he knows looks like they're in danger of dying, and he saves them with the force. Because he doesn't want him to die, and doesn't, so he has to, and that's when I think it seems like that's what kicks off this, rumor of him being the Force. They probably send in these Purge Troopers, and I think and I didn't notice it. Like I saw them doing something, but like in the trailer, you see this Inquisitor, like kind of latched onto the front of a
ship that they're trying to escape in.
They're trying to escape in the ship, and the Inquisitor's kind of blocking their view by being attached, like being on the viewport. And I didn't catch this until they mentioned it, but this Inquisitor is actually using the Force to turn the steering knobs or whatever
of the ship to direct it.
And it looks like it's kind of just she's going to start going in circles.
So she's clearly powerful. She's clearly very smart and witty, and it's going to be a formidable enemy.
And I'm super excited about this game. Like, it's going to be the first big Star Wars game I've been looking forward to since Battlefront, and hopefully I'm not as disappointed
as we're
if it even gets released. I'm not going to be saying that until I'm going to keep saying that until 11/15, dude. Until November 15th, I'm saying that unless I see it in the stores, I don't know if it's going to be released.
I don't really agree. I really don't have any worry about it not being released. You're a little more skeptical, which is probably better in the long run for most things, because we've seen games close to completion that never came out. But it's going to be awesome when it comes out.
If it comes out.
And I'm super excited about it. It also sounds like there's going to be quite a bit of customization, even though it's a single player story. We don't know how linear, how open.
And they wouldn't talk about the lightsaber.
They wouldn't talk about really much of anything, but apparently the lightsaber that we've all seen in some of these images and promos has a lot to do with the story. To the point where even the host, who was just somebody I didn't know for this particular panel, but the host asked about a question about Kale's lightsaber, and one of the directors of the game said, "Who says it's Kale's lightsaber?" And then the whole stadium was like, "Oh!" And they wouldn't give us anything else except
that it ties in very deeply into the story,
deeply and intimately into the story, and that you're going to be able to customize it and upgrade it, and it's going to change throughout the course of the game.
I hope we can change the color, because fuck blue lightsabers. So that was. I almost said The Mandalorian. I've been saying The Mandalorian all weekend.
I don't know why you keep saying The Mandalorian.
I don't know. The Jedi Fallen, because I want to know more about The Mandalorian. But so that was Jedi The Fallen Order. And then after that, we didn't really have a whole, like, there was no obligation from there forward, right?
Not really. We had already pretty much covered every inch of the exhibit hall. We did walk around a little bit more.
There were new things.
Some more money. Got some more. I picked some
up
more
my
action
book.
figures. You got your book. And
so the next big thing we did was stand in line for the Celebration store.
The store, yes, the official store. Which the best part was that it took like less than an hour to get through the line.
It was not that bad at all to get through that line. I was shocked. I thought it was going to be a lot longer.
Cheers to that.
Because
I was really dreading. No, we
almost
didn't. I was dreading having to wait hours and hours and hours and hours in line to get into the store, which we didn't even know if what was in there was going to be worth it, right?
Yeah, or if they had our sizes, which a lot of the stuff they didn't have our sizes in. But the Celebration store I thought was still it was very cool. There was a lot of unique things in there. One of the things that I was very mad I didn't get, but they had a lot of
there was a lot of
flannel
apparel.
shirts.
There was a lot of apparel to begin with, right?
And like these kind of nicer feeling button down shirts,
button down collar, short sleeve shirts, right?
Yeah. Kind of like Hawaiian-esque, like especially the Lando.
A little bit.
So there was like the Lando one that he wore at the end of Solo. I don't really remember it that much, but it looked cool. I saw someone wearing it. And I would have bought that because that was something I literally could just wear and no one would know. Like that wasn't just like a fancy, not fancy, but like a
you by looking at it, if you weren't a Star Wars fan, you wouldn't know that it had anything to do with Star Wars. I didn't know what it was either.
Because I mean, I've only seen Solo a couple times, but there was that I would have got.
Apparently, that was a popular item because there was none of those left.
There was Death Star umbrellas. There was a bunch of shirts. They had like people that were ironing on shirts. They were
screening shirts. It wasn't ironing.
Screening. Yeah, same thing. Definitely the same thing. But,
they had pins. They had mugs. They had pint glass. They had lanyards, which we both bought.
Celebration lanyards.
So we were, and this wasn't bugging you as much, I think, as it was me. But when we first got there, we got just like the freebie lanyards to put our passes on that everybody was getting, and I kept seeing these really cool celebration lanyards that everyone was wearing, and it had like the main graphic that they were using for celebration printed on these lanyards, and I was like, where are these people getting these? Where are they? I need one. And apparently you had to go to the store to get them. We got those. Pretty pumped about that.
I'm very
It's
excited.
a small thing. It's a lanyard, but I was excited.
But like, and I wouldn't have thought of this. So I go to conferences, like tech conferences all the time.
Yeah.
And I keep all of my lanyards I get, which I don't really keep them for the lanyards. I keep them for the badge. And I just to have it as something to, look back on and just know that you went to this conference, right? And that's clearly something that also happens in celebrations, right? And it's to me, it seems to be more lanyard based. Like if people were wearing multiple lanyards from different celebrations.
You're right, yeah.
And I think that's a cool thing, and I want to start that with this. Like when we go to the next celebration, I would like to start off at least with this celebration lanyard, right? And go through their store and get their lanyard and keep that going for years, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. So I didn't get a lot. I got a couple of t-shirts and then I got the lanyard. Yep. You got some other stuff.
I mean, I didn't get a lot. So I got probably the coolest item that I kept seeing that I was debating both from day 1 to day 2, whether or not I was going to get. And it's this very cool Darth Maul hoodie where it's essentially like shirtless Darth Maul in hoodie form. And you
basically, when you put it on, you look like you're Darth Maul without a shirt on.
And it's absolutely awesome. It's super red, super black. I don't want to put this in the washer with any of my whites. And I'm very excited about this. I almost didn't get it, but it was only $55, which I was expecting more like 90.
Super
honestly,
cool,
because
man. Super cool.
Because it's decent quality.
Yeah.
I was expecting a lot more money-wise. So I'm really glad I got it. It was awesome. I also got a shirt and the lanyard.
Well, and the hoodie was to commemorate 20 years of Phantom Menace. It had like a little patch on it too, because like that's another big thing too that the celebration is. It's the 20-year anniversary of Episode 1 Phantom Menace.
And I'm surprised. I mean, they were more focusing on the Phantom Menace portion of that. But is this not the 20th anniversary of Celebration as well?
Yep. So at least that's what was my understanding.
It might have been 1998. I should look at the stupid expensive.
Well, they had celebration shirts that said 20 on them.
Yeah.
And they were only celebrations. It wasn't specific to Phantom Menace, so that's why I assumed it was
still 20. But either way, the celebration store was cool. They also had one thing. I kind of wish I would have got one. I wish I would have got a lot more, but I would have been pissed if I actually got. Either way, they had Death Star plant holders. They had a Chewie wall mount for like you put a plant in it. It was Chewie's face.
Yeah.
They had like these tiki hut things that like Rancors.
It was the Rancor, and the Rancor was supposed to be like a big like Stein, meant to be a big Stein. and the Rancor had its little hand out, and there was like a tiny little Luke ceramic thing, and that's supposed to be like the shot glass or something.
It was. They had
Oh
a
my
lot of
god,
cool
man.
things, man!
We did not get any Celebration shot glasses. I didn't see any, though.
I didn't see any either. No, I didn't either.
Oh, that's like one thing I always try to get is like a... Anyway. So that was the Star Wars store. I'm glad that we got to go. I'm glad it took less than an hour to get in, because some people
literally in line that morning. They were waiting. They said that they had waited over 3 hours the day before to get in there. I can't imagine waiting 3 hours. And from what we could tell, and from what other people were talking about, and from at least the cosplay, this day was a lot busier than day one.
Oh, there was way more people there on Saturday than there was on Friday, for sure.
Definitely way more.
So I was shocked that we literally flew
way
through
more lines for the Celebration store.
Yeah, thankfully we got lucky. So the only other real thing that we did, again, we went back out into the exhibitor floor. I bought a couple more things.
Got a glimpse of Timothy's on.
We did see. We did get to see him in the very close distance, which was pretty sweet. And then we waited. So they had this replica. It wasn't even a replica. It was a hallway of this thing that a little miniature bullshit set that they built of Millennium Falcon. It looked pretty cool. It was pretty sweet.
But it was Lando's Millennium Falcon. It was Solo Millennium Falcon.
You kept saying that, but the hallways were not that clean.
But the inside was definitely clean, dude. The inside,
whatever it was a makeshift version of a Millennium Falcon. It was literally just a single hallway.
You're right. The hallway was kind of strange.
It was, and I don't know if you noticed, but the little entrance to this thing, so they had like the little chess set, outside, which they also had chess on the inside, which they're like two different ones. But then they had a seat with all these panels.
Not chess. Just pointing out.
Whatever, dude. Dejeric. You're right. I should be correct in my terminology. The seat, though, the single person seat, that was Empire panels. That was not Millennium Falcon. I recognize specifically right. That was Empire.
It was
stuff.
Definitely like Death Star.
Yes,
like
absolutely. Death Star, Star Destroyer,
like fucking blast Alderaan.
Yes, yeah, it totally was. So whatever, it doesn't matter. It was kind of cool, but we waited in line for like 2 fucking hours to walk down a hallway. No,
it was at most an hour and 20 minutes.
It was 2 fucking hours, man.
It was not 2 hours. We didn't get in that line.
Whatever. I felt like it was way too long to walk through a hallway.
But the pictures were dope because you were wearing your Chewie hoodie,
Chewbacca hoodie,
which is reversible and awesome. But you had it flipped into the Chewie side, and in the Dejeric portion, which again there were 2. In the front side, we had you
try to pull your arm out. Try to pull your arm out of your socket,
and then in the other one, just. We had one where you were like looking angry really and I was laughing. It was a good time. I'm glad we did it. I think we're gonna like those photos, and we're gonna post most of this stuff online.
Absolutely. That's that.
I think we
really kind of wraps it up for day 2.
Art right? After that,
you debated getting some art for a long time.
I did, but nothing touched me.
that one Darth Vader print was really cool.
The Darth Vader print was cool, but for some
reason they weren't selling it. But it was,
when I asked if it was for sale, he said no. So I don't know why it was out.
Like, well, then why you have it out here if I can't fucking why couldn't you buy that one that was sitting there? Like, can I buy this one?
Can you remove it? I don't know.
Like, I'm gonna you should just take it. I'm gonna put it down here for you then, since you can't sell it anymore.
I kind of still wish I would have got the other one. No, I'm glad I didn't, because it doesn't vibe with my room very much that I have going on.
Oh, the Han and Leia
there was one that was really cool. It was Han and Leia hugging, and it was them from the original trilogy hugging.
It looked like a playing card.
Yeah, it did. It
was a playing card.
And the mirror image of them
was also hugging.
Was them hugging, but it was the old versions of them
in Force Awakens. Yeah,
and I don't know. I just thought it was touching. I think I still am, bummed about Carrie Fisher's passing, and I just think that would have been something that would have been nice to have. I probably should have got it. They only made 250 of them.
Well, you didn't, you dipshit.
It's all right, I'll just go back tomorrow. They don't check badges anyway.
That's actually true. We did not get our badges checked one motherfucking time. Nobody checked them.
The only thing they checked was whether or not you were in a panel. A reserve panel.
A reserve panel, and they scanned our QR lottery codes for Galaxy's Edge and for the Episode 9 panel. Otherwise, nobody fucking gave two shits whether or not we had a badge. We never got them checked ever.
Well, I guess that's not entirely true because they did care if you didn't have a VIP badge.
That's true because the VIP, yeah, that's true. Well, they get special treatment and entrances to things and whatever.
But yeah, so I don't know. That was day 2. Day 2 was great.
Kind of wraps up day 2, man.
So I don't think we talked about it enough. Day 2. You
got to try Chicago deep dish pizza. We went to Illuminati's, which I never had really Illuminati's before, but I had deep dish and it was delicious.
That was some of the best pizza I've had like ever. It was really good. The crust on it was so good,
spectacular.
So one thing, real quick, we talked about how the cosplay was good. I don't think we talked about how good the cosplay was second day. Like, relative to day 1, I don't know. It just seemed so much better. There was a lot of people.
There was just more of it.
There's just more people. We saw K2SO that was unique and weird. We saw so many different...
We didn't talk about the R2 that we saw.
Day 1.
This guy built this R2. It took him 2 years, and it did everything. Literally,
to the point where it could have kill you.
It could have been used on the set of Star Wars if they really wanted it to. All of its little levers and its handles.
It had a freak out mode where like all the panels would open and it would
do like the R2 scream
the
and
R2 scream. I don't know why I would try
even
that.
its little like zapper that it used to zap Salacious Crumb.
Yeah,
Salacious Crumb with in Return of the Jedi. It had that on it, and there was actual sparks coming out of this thing.
It was the most legit because I was charging my phone, but like I heard it, and I was like, I was like, shit! They actually have the legit sparkler over there. That's like some crazy shit.
It's the most realistic R2D2 I've ever seen in my life. That was pretty sweet. But yeah, the overall level of the costumes that people had,
the level of detail in the Stormtrooper gear and the Mandalorian armor galore. It was awesome.
There was like a lot of creativity too, because there was like, it wasn't just straight up Mandalorians and straight up Stormtroopers.
It wasn't just Boba Fett and
we saw Mulan DeLorean. It was somebody dressed up like Mulan, but she had Mandalorian armor on, and there was like Mushu on her like shoulder, and like that was cool. And
one of the funny ones I saw was not Mandalorian wise, but a scout trooper with little Ewok teddy bears like glued all over his body, so that it looked like
he was being attacked by
Ewoks attacking him and trying to take him down. And it was fun. He would pose in a funny way.
Yeah.
There was gigantic Wookiees, just massive. I mean, I'm sure some of them were on stilts, but maybe some of them were just giant people like that.
I saw some of them where they were clearly on stilts by the way that they were walking. Some of them, though, I think that they were actually just giant big people. Motherfuckers, man. Like, and these Wookiee costumes, they looked like what they would use in the
actually
movies.
Use in the movie.
Yeah.
100%.
Speaking of which, remember that guy? We were standing in line and looking at that store, and they had a replica Wookiee Chewbacca head for $2,500, and he was like, "Yep, I'll take that." I'm like, the kind of money these people have to just spend on shit like that.
Come back. Like, we talked about this privately, but just to be a millionaire and come back to something like this, and to just, oh yeah, I'll take that $1,300 replica of Count Dooku's lightsaber. Sure.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Oh, do I want this Mace Windu replica hilt that was signed by Samuel L. Jackson for $12,000? Yep, I'll take it. What the fuck?
Some of the artwork was huge and insanely awesome. Like, yeah. I would love it, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay $31,000 for this painting of Luke, unless I have millions of dollars, which I would totally do it. Like, what else are you going to spend it on besides charity? Because that's what you should do, right?
I don't know. You don't have that much fucking money. So that's pretty much day 2. Tomorrow, day 3, we're not going to be there, but we're on our car ride home. We are going to be streaming a couple of important panels. Number 1 being the Mandalorian panel. Super excited about that. I really hope that they have a trailer for us. I would assume that they would have
they're gonna have to
have a trailer for us. And then the Clone Wars panel. We're getting the final season of Clone Wars.
Again,
we're ending it the way that they wanted to end it. And we've already seen a trailer.
Have we?
Yeah, we have. It was small. There wasn't a lot in it, but we saw one.
I want to see more. And I think episode or this season 7, I believe it is, would be the one that, like you said, ends it the way they want to, and I hope that it ties directly into episode 3. Like,
I hope that the last episode is them
the
going up to is them like leading into the Battle of Coruscant, the very beginning of episode 3. That's why I was expected. How I was always expected it to end, and when it ended,
it's how the original Clone Wars ended.
Exactly. The original ones ended that way. Count Dooku, taking him up to a ship, and then, boom, Battle of Coruscant, which I expect it to happen similarly in season 7.
That wraps up our celebration. I don't know, Star Wars Celebration Chicago 2019 was one of the most surreal experiences in my life. I've been waiting for this literally my entire life, and it was all I could ask for and more. Honestly. Like, I don't want to be too mushy or whatever, but like, and you always, I don't know, I hear people talk like this all the time, and it's like, oh yeah, they're just saying, like, I'm not just saying that. Like, this was amazing.
Absolutely,
I had so much fun.
Incredible.
I wish I had more days. I'm exhausted. I want to go to bed right
tired,
now. You know what I mean? But I want to go back tomorrow, but we can't. We had to leave. I mean, we could, because again, they're not checking tickets, but but like, we had to go back tomorrow. So I can't wait to do this again. I really can, and to do a 5-day pass and to
definitely
spread it out
going
a little bit
back.
More,
Man. I don't know about 5 days.
Well, you could not do it all in 2 days like we did. You could spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah. Exactly. Right. We only had 2 days.
We didn't have to spend all day on the floor panel on the exhibitor for both days. You know what I mean? Like, you could spread it out. But and I would love to do, like, I'm inspired to want to do cosplay or to invest in something that's unique or something that's fun to do, because like the reaction that I saw people have when you go up to them, like, no one's like, no, don't. Well, I did see one guy that like, I'm not taking a picture with you. That was weird. But most people are excited to take a picture with you. Most people are excited to show off their hard work and doing what they've been, gearing up for years to come to this, to show you their crazy armor or whatever it is. And that, to me, I could see myself wanting to do that.
Absolutely. And, I'm glad we didn't try to do it this year. It was fun to sit back and take it all in and be able to experience it, because people got stopped a lot. And when you're going to do that kind of thing, you're going to get stopped. And if we go back next time and we do a 5-day pass, maybe one day we do cosplay, and that's all we do. Just walk around, take pictures with people, do that kind of thing. And then next day we don't dress up and actually get to experience some of the other things. You know what I mean?
Be like celebrities in the way that they walk around Celebration Force.
Oh, real quick, that reminds me of another cosplay that I saw. It was amazing. You're going to have to help me out with the name of this character, but he's from Rogue One, the blind guy.
Oh, Chirrut or Irrit. Goddamn. The blind monk.
Yes, the blind monk.
Yes. That was amazing.
He not only did he look like the actor, his costume was legit. His staff, his walker was legit.
His hand movements.
And he had contacts in that made it look like he was blind.
And like, you went to go take a photo of him, right? And I saw him look at you, and then kind of like look up a little bit. So like, he was doing. He was all.
He
in
like
on that,
looked at me to see, but then he looked off in distance, like, so it would look like he was blind when I was taking his picture.
Perfect. It was one of the that was one of the better highlight for me. Yeah, because and it was those contacts, like, and it was the whole thing.
It was everything. It was a combination of everything. He got all the parts right.
If I were to do a costume, like, to me, it would have to be something unique like that. Like, I didn't see too many of his characters. I didn't see too many Jyn Ersos. We saw literally one Jyn Erso.
Saw one.
I would want. We saw one, like, this would be a cool one, like an Obi-Wan Clone Wars. We saw one Anakin
Clone Wars with their Clone Wars armor.
We saw a lot of Revan. Like, I would love to do a Revan. That would be one of my favorite. But there's just so many.
There's a lot of Revan because he's so popular. Like, everybody loves him.
Super unique one.
Only saw one Asajj Ventress.
Yeah. which I didn't get a picture of because
I didn't either. She was walking away, and she was with the Anakin in like Clone Wars.
She was, bald hair.
She had the lights
fully painted, the dope lightsabers.
She actually had. I don't know if you got a close look.
Yeah,
but it was actual.
I saw
her actual hilts, and it was awesome.
But
overall, amazing experience. I can't wait to do it again. One
of the best times of my life, honestly. It was great, and to experience that with my homeboy Sean, my co-host. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers, dude.
What a time. All right, I think that's gonna wrap it up. We'll catch you guys later. Talk later about the trailer and some more content, The Mandalorian, and all sorts of things that are coming out of Star Wars Celebration.
This is gonna be a huge year for Star Wars.
One of the best years of all time.
Much more to come.
I'm getting married. We have all sorts of Star Wars. It's great. What a year.
All right, guys. Peace.